Hi, I'm Melissa Kavanaugh. I'm the Director of Analytics at Fuel, located in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Today, I'm happy to share with HSMAI the most recent round of our consumer sentiment study. This study is number 11 in the series. On this round, we had about 2,000 fully completed surveys, and this, again, as a reminder, is going to a database of North American leisure travelers. The previous study we sent out was back in September. We took a little break to give our database a little respite from bombarding them for 10 rounds of surveys. So we are back, and on this round, we did ask a bunch of new vaccine questions to see how that might potentially impact the future of leisure travel. But first, we did want to find out how many people have actually traveled during the pandemic. And 53% have responded yes. And that has not changed since our survey was done in September. It was 53% last time, it's 53% this time. We also asked how many trips have people taken since March 15th, and you can see that one trip is most popular, but barely, and it only makes up 34% of responses, which means that the majority of people have traveled at least 2 times. What's also interesting is that even though the percentage of people who have traveled has stayed the same since our last survey, as I said before, the number of people who have taken multiple trips has actually increased. We had been at 56% of people in September who had made multiple trips during the pandemic, and we're up to 66% now. We also asked if people have already traveled over Thanksgiving and would they be planning to travel during the rest of the upcoming holiday season. And in both cases, over 80% had said no. Now we're getting to some of these vaccination questions, and we simply asked, do you plan on getting a coronavirus vaccination? And you can see that 64% said that they did plan on that. This was a question that we broke down by both age groups and by income levels. So for age groups, we had 51% of those under the age of 40 saying yes versus 65% over the age of 40 saying yes. Looking at incomes, we looked at 3 income brackets, those making under $50,000 a year, $50,000 to $100,000 a year, and over $100,000. In the lowest income group, 55% said that they would be getting a vaccination compared to 65% in the 50 to 100,000 group, and then 71% in the over $100,000 group. We also asked on a scale of 0 to 5, with 0 being no impact and 5 being dramatically increased, how the following vaccination scenarios would increase the likelihood of booking a vacation within the next 6 months. So we have the category of once you have been vaccinated, once at-risk people have been vaccinated, or once at least 80% of the population has been vaccinated. And at the bottom, these are the zeros, meaning no impact, and you can see 33 to 38% saying that it would have no impact. But that would mean that more than 60% in all 3 categories saying that the vaccine would at least have some positive increase of the likelihood of booking a vacation in the next 6 months. Let me go back to that. Before I move on, there were several other questions about planning trips based on the vaccination, timeframes of planning, booking, and actually traveling that are in the full version of the survey, which I would encourage you to take a look at. And you can find that at fueltravel.com/blog, and you can find all other versions of the survey there as well. But there were definitely several more questions going down this vaccine rabbit hole that you might find interesting. I just didn't have all the time to put them all here. This is a question that we've asked multiple times throughout the survey, and that's what would you want the property to communicate to you prior to your stay? And the change is very little from survey to survey here. The local mask requirements continues to be most popular, and that was at 75% versus very closely followed by the updated cleaning protocols of the property. But the reason that I'm including this slide on this presentation is that we did add a vaccine requirement as an option. And you can see that that is actually at the bottom of this list of all the things that people want to hear from. It's only at 44%. So I thought that that was interesting. One of the changes we did see from the last survey is that the open status of local attractions is actually up quite a bit, and that is this pink bar. That went from 58% on the last round up to 64% on this round. How likely are you to book a trip in the next 30, 60, 90 days or 6 months and a year? This question has been asked on all 11 versions of this survey. And on this round, we've got 31% saying that maybe or higher, which would be these 3 bars, would be willing to travel in the next 30 days. We had 41% in the next 60 days and 60% in the next 90 days. What we did see is that those answering at least maybe in the next 30 days did decrease substantially since our last survey. We had been at 55% in our last survey, and it's actually now the lowest rate we've seen since our first survey, which was put out on April 16th, where we were at 37%. So I will put this caveat out there that seasonality could be playing a very large factor in the likelihood to book in the next 30, 60 days, as we are, not coming into summer months or times of the year, unless you are a skier, that you might be prone to travel at this point. So just putting that caveat out there. And now we have this, how soon will you be willing to make the following trips? And this is looking at distance from home. 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 6 hours, 10 hours, or flying. And again, the caveat being we saw all categories decreasing compared to our last survey in that within 1 month range. And I, again, believe that has at least something to do with the seasonality we're in. But clearly what hasn't changed is the fact that the 1 to 3 hour drive market continues to be the most popular in spite of numbers going down, still by far the most popular distances for people to want to travel in the near future. That is all that I have for today. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. You can email me at mcavanaugh@fueltravel.com. And again, I would encourage you to go look at the full survey results. I think that there were 21 questions we asked altogether. And you can see that at fueltravel.com/blog. I hope everybody has had a safe and happy new year, and I hope to talk to you again soon.